Good morning, everybody. I'm going to call to order this special swearing-in session of the City Commission for the City of Gainesville on January 5th, 2023. That sounds like science fiction, doesn't it? 2023? All right, well, I'm officially calling us to order, and we'll invite Father Fletcher Montgomery, the rector of my church, Holy Trinity Episcopal Church, to give us the invocation.
Let us pray. O God, our ruler and true governor, whose glory is in all the world, and who's given us this good community for our life and our livelihood, we commend this city to your merciful care, that being guided by your providence, we may dwell secure in your peace. May we always prove ourselves a people mindful of your favor and glad to do good to one another. Bless our city with honorable industry and business, sound learning, and pure manners. Save us from violence, discord, and confusion, from arrogance and greed, and from every evil way. Defend our liberties, and give us respect for our just laws. Grant to Harvey, our new mayor, and to all who share the authority of government in this place, wisdom and strength to do good for all our citizens with impartiality. Fill Harvey with the love of truth, righteousness, wisdom, and justice, and make him ever mindful of his calling to serve this people in your grace and for their well-being. Through the grace and guidance of our merciful Creator, we ask for blessings and peace on this great and happy day. Amen.
All right, if you would please rise as you are able and give your attention to the color guard. Left wheel, halt. Detail, halt. Present, halt. If you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Order, halt. Mark time, halt. Forward, halt. So I'm going to take credit for this weather as the first act. And if you're wondering why I'm also Master of Ceremonies, it's because I'm serving as Mayor Pro Tem until I'm sworn in as Mayor. Just a procedural matter there for you. Next, I want you to please give your attention to the Honorable Walter Green, who will swear in Ed Book as Commissioner for the mighty 2nd District.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
I,
Edwin Book,
Edwin Book,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support,
that I will support,
honor,
honor,
protect,
protect,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution
the Constitution
and government
and government
of the United States
of the United States
and of the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
that I am duly qualified
that I am duly qualified
to hold office
to hold office
under the Constitution
under the Constitution
of the state
of the state
and under the charter
and under the charter
of the city of Gainesville,
of the city of Gainesville,
and that I will well
and that I will well
and faithfully perform
and faithfully perform
the duties
the duties
of City Commissioner
of City Commissioner,
on which I am now about to enter.
of which I am now about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. Well, so first, thank you all so very much. I do want to say a special thank you to the Honor Guard, the firefighters and the police, the public safety that make up our city. That's particularly important to me. You all did a great job. I see you way back there. So thank you very much to the Honor Guard. I also want to thank Judge Walter Green and Bishop Chris Stokes. These are two people that I have worked with for many, many, many years. They are more than just work colleagues, and I appreciate them helping. And I'm going to introduce that other third person that you saw standing next to me in just a moment. I will say this. What they have just gotten me started on is basically a 4-year journey, the same as 2 other recently elected colleagues. So congratulations to both Commissioner Eastman, and let me look here, Commissioner Willits, if you'll give them a hand, please, too. If we did not have good weather, I was prepared to only speak for 5 or 6 minutes. But because we do have good weather, I've got the full 1 hour and 20-minute presentation here, which should get us through before my other colleagues speak. So, what was that? I'm prepared. I am ready. In getting all seriousness, I have been in Gainesville since 1982. I have raised my family here. I have worked here in public safety amongst 2 great institutions, the City of Gainesville Police Department for over 26 years, and Santa Fe College, where I've been for over 11 years, an absolute game-changing institution and organization in our community. And I think everybody here knows that. The only people I'm actually going to recognize by name, other than my 2 colleagues, would be 2 family members that are here. And that's so that I do not risk, obviously, forgetting somebody or leaving someone out, because I see so many people here who have supported me for so long. So the first person I'm going to point is a person who is standing next to me and has been standing next to me for 37 years. So I've been married to Lori Book. Lori, if you'll stand, for 37 years. She just retired as a public school teacher at Wiles Elementary. She was teaching for 38 years. You think this might be a difficult job? I don't think so. That's the job. Education, public education. And my mom is here, Pithart Wong, world traveler, State Department member, missionary. Mom, if you'll stand up, please. And I don't know, so those are my 2 family members here, and there's others I know who support me. And I don't know if it's good or bad to go first. When I saw that on the agenda, I'm like, oh boy, and they're only giving me 1 hour and 20 minutes. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to cover it all. But I'll tell you, one serious benefit of going first is this. It means I can sit down and kind of actively listen to the other newly elected colleagues and focus on what's important to them or their constituents also, that collaboratively, we can do better together. And that includes the other more senior tenured members of the commission who are sitting behind me. I'm so excited to work with 6 other people, and that's the way you get things done, collaboratively and together. So here's a Cliff Notes version of some things I was speaking about in 2022. Everything that I said across February to November 8th of 2022 were designed in part because of the things I heard from the community. Community priorities are my priority. Your priorities are my priority. And here's some of the 3 or 4 things in a Cliff Notes version that I think are important. This is the first and most important one, and it sounds rather vague. Civility. Civility. The way we treat each other. Professionalism, respect, courtesy, kindness, compassion. Those are not cliches. Those are the ways that you work with other people, whether you agree, disagree, you like someone, or you dislike somebody. You have to be civil in your ability to work. That's the most important thing that I feel, and I think you feel, will be helpful for us as a combined, unified, elected body. Civility. So that's first. Secondly, and a little more concrete, budget accountability. We have some significant challenges over this next year, significant. And it may even take us more than a year to ensure that we have a balanced budget and that the monies that we have today we use in good ways to ensure that the next 1, 2, 3, and 4 years we can do more. If we don't start now, the monies we have will not be there for the programs and the incredible things we need to do as a city, not as an elected body, as a city over the next 1, 2, and 3, and 4 years. Budget accountability, absolutely essential. A key mark of a caring city, is the way we treat those who are most vulnerable. We should help those that are in poverty and in need. That's a priority of any good municipality. Forgetting municipality, that's a priority of any good community. That's your priority, that's my priority. And lastly, I just want to say that there are over 2,000 city and utility staff and officials who make this city run. Over 2,000. I want to say it's like 2,400, 2,500, based on some of my orientations and studies. These are first responders, utilities, HR, union workers, public works, fire, police, all the support staff, you name it. These are the over 2,000 members of the city that get things done. The 2,000 members plus that get things done in the city. If you're a member of city staff, if you work for the city, if you're here with the utilities, either number one, well, there's a lot of people standing, so I don't think that's going to work. Raise your hand or stand up. If you're doing things to get the city done and move us forward, please raise your hand. Thank you to them, because that's who we will work for. So the 7 members that are sitting up at this very lengthy desk in the City Hall chambers, we're not the ones who are doing the work day to day and hour to hour and minute to minute. What our job is, according to that 16-page charter, is to set vision and policy and direction through 6 government leaders who then work through those 2,000 plus members that work every day. Something that's not in that 16-page charter is something we call role modeling. Setting the example for the manner in which we treat each other. I spoke about that just a couple of minutes ago, civility. It may not be in the charter, but it's essential for us to set the stage and support those people and you as community members to get things done. So, kind of as I close here, I just have about another hour and 10 minutes in my closing, but we will occasionally disagree. We will. And occasionally, I know I and maybe other members of my colleagues here will fall short of your expectations. This happens. This is the nature of disagreement. So if I do, I'm totally comfortable with you holding me accountable. Tell me about it. But when you do it, say something like, Ed, you really messed that one up. What were you thinking? And that will be totally fine. Email, call. My phone number hasn't changed in 20-something years, and it's not going to change merely because I happen to be sitting at that lengthy city desk in City Hall. Discourse, disagreement, back and forth, accountability, those are the things that allow us to work as good government elected officials, and I plan to work in that way for you. So, whether you're a resident, you're a Gainesville Opportunity Center clubhouse member, potentially. You work for the state attorney. You're a union member. You're the front line that are getting things done in 7 bargaining agents, 7 bargaining units across our city. Whether you're affiliated with SF or UF. Whether you voted for me, whether you didn't vote for me, whether you didn't vote at all. I don't think that's hardly anybody in this audience. But in any of those categories, I will represent you equally well. I will listen to your concerns, and I will operate by saying what I said before. Community priorities are my priorities, even if I have particular thoughts about that. I will represent all those groups equally well. I was elected in District 2. For those who don't know, District 2 is primarily Northwest Gainesville. But here's a critical fact. 75% of the city does not live in District 2. And some of our greatest needs and challenges are not in District 2. I'll have a keen focus on issues for District 2, but I will be responsive and representative to every member of our community, regardless of geographic boundaries. That's not the way we get things done. So that's important to know. I will be grateful to any of those who want to stick around after the ceremony. We've already been taking a lot of pictures, and I suspect my colleagues are going to take a lot of pictures. I would love to do that too. Maybe we can get a good group picture, and maybe it goes viral. Who knows? But that's really not the mark of how you get things done. Those are just the feel-good things, kind of in advance of going to work and doing good work. I will serve ethically. I will serve with integrity. I promise to do an excellent job. I said that across 2022. I'm going to make you proud of your support, and if you didn't support me, I'm going to make you proud, because we represent all, not merely the people who happen to be around us at any given moment. I'm pretty much done. If you notice, this speech was done with sentences that begin with I. This is the last I speech of the next 4 years. So we need to get to work. We need to do things together. We need to get things done together. That's we. Thank you.
Congratulations, Commissioner. And next, if you would give your attention to the Honorable Craig C. Thomasis, who will swear in Commissioner-elect Casey Willits for District 3.
Repeat after me. I, Casey Willits,
I, Casey Willits,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, honor, protect,
that I will support, honor, protect,
and defend the Constitution
and defend the Constitution
and government of the United States
and government of the United States
and of the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
that I am duly qualified
that I am duly qualified
to hold office
to hold office
under the Constitution of the state
under the Constitution of the state
and under the Charter of the City of Gainesville,
and under the Charter of the City of Gainesville,
and that I will well
that I will well
and faithfully perform
and faithfully perform
the duties of City Commissioner
the duties of City Commissioner
on which I am now about to enter.
on which I am now about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you for all of you who are here, community members, supporters, voters, residents, students, our community builders who work at the city. Thank you, Judge Thomasis, for being here to swear me in. Thank you to the city commissioners and mayors of previous commissions who have served Gainesville faithfully. I know many of you are here and other elected officials. Thank you to my supporters and voters who propelled me to this day. Thank you also to the voters in my district who didn't vote for me but talked to me on their doorsteps about your priorities for the city of Gainesville. You too will propel me through my term of office. Thank you to James Brown, who kept me honest about how many doors I was actually knocking on during my campaign and made sure I still took time to celebrate life while campaigning and working full time. Thank you to my parents, Mark and Gail Willits, who couldn't be here today, as my father isn't quite well enough to easily travel. My father was a dairyman working for years, and my mother was an elementary school counselor and coach at one point. Though my dad, I'm not sure if he could be here, that he would be here enthusiastically. We differ a little bit in our politics and our outlook on public servants, particularly local public servants. I'm going to try to prove him wrong. But really, me being here in the city of Gainesville on this stage is partially due to him. You see, every day he shared his daily newspaper with me. And from that local newspaper, I learned that there were places out in the world that I knew nothing about, but also that there were places in my community that I did know a lot about, because I had helped my father deliver firewood in our town for years as a teenager. And before I could even drive or had a license, I knew most of my town's streets by heart. I knew them. I could map them out. I could drive them once I was able to drive. And in that local newspaper, I learned about new businesses being built, permits for new subdivisions or houses, curb cuts for refurbished commercial properties all over town. Our town was changing, as most towns do. I would read traffic and accident reports and be able to visualize exactly which lane they were even talking about. That's how well I knew my town. I knew the local geography. And all of this led me to appreciate that local geography, which eventually I would study geography in college. So in the end, that paper and geography is what opened me up to government, particularly local government and politics. So whether he knows it or not, thanks, Dad. Now, I started my activism and community involvement at the age of 17, the tender young age. It was in the relative safety of my high school where I organized my peers and I challenged my school leadership. And I had to remind them, those school officials, of the 1984 Equal Access Act. Look it up, it's fun times. I was also sure to remind them that at the time, the Department of Justice's Office of Civil Rights was watching them because of an agreement following their violation of Title IX, which the nation at that time had recently learned does indeed cover gay and lesbian students who are experiencing harassment at school. I became a thorn in their side, but just a temporary one because it was the last semester of my college or my high school career. But the Gay Straight Alliance that we started became a permanent feature of my high school. They're still there. Thank you. But the first truly public event of my activism was a candlelight vigil. It was just 2 months into my freshman year of college, shortly after, leaving my high school and going to my hometown college. At that point, the annual vigil was just a couple years old. We were remembering a fallen member of the LGBTQ community, Matthew Shepard. Matthew had been murdered just 2 years previous. Here I was a college student. He was a college student. We weren't so different. I went to college and engaged in activism in my community, knowing that I could experience violence because of it. Now, many attempt to make the argument that if only he or I would be quiet and not express ourselves or our opinions or our insistence on being treated fairly and with dignity, then the threat of violence wouldn't hang over our heads. I'm old enough now to know that those that talk like that, what they really want is for people like me or Matthew to just disappear. They wanted us to make ourselves so small enough that we could be just erased from view. And for years I felt, like some of you probably have, that much of that project of erasing us has been reversed. But here in the state of Florida, that project has been revived, sadly. But here in Gainesville, though, I'm committed, and I know many of you are as well, to making sure that that progress isn't rolled back. But here in Gainesville, in this city, too often, some of us are encouraged to shrink ourselves down until we can be ignored, or can easily be just forced to disappear. Some of you may know Gainesville has the 9th highest death rate for pedestrians in Florida. But even without that data, and it probably changes a little year to year, without that data, you can still feel anecdotally that this is happening. Pratik Sharma, Sophia Lambert, Rose Granny McDonald, Maggie Paxton, Sabrina Obando. When pedestrians and cyclists and parents cry out for solutions to these needless deaths, all too often they are shamed for wanting safety, as if this was some personal failing that they need for those 4,000-pound cars to responsibly share our city and for streets to enable that safe sharing. Too many think it's the humans outside of the 4,000-pound vehicle that are the problem, and that they need to shrink away from our streets and disappear. But Gainesville belongs to all of us, no matter whether you can afford or are able to take a 4,000-pound car for every single trip that you need in our city. We're also a city of renters. 60% of us rent our homes. Yet, as rents absolutely skyrocketed during the past 2 years, property owners took the center stage to a large degree, and whether they meant to or not, they ended up making the renter's voice in our town very, very small, shrunken down almost to the point where they were erased. In our town, too many think it is okay to tell renters to just disappear from huge swaths of the city. Somewhere else, please, somewhere else, is their conveniently non-specific encouragement to our government to enforce the disappearance of the majority of humans that live in this city, 60%. From the majority of our city. We are also a city of students, and not just UF, right, Ed? Not just undergraduates. There's a lot of grad students and medical students and law students, professional students. Not just well-funded, perfect students who finish in 4 years and are on their way. That was not me in my college career. Any individual student may be temporary in Gainesville, but students as a community aren't temporary. They are us, they are Gainesville, they are here, they will always be here. Too many people think that students' voices shouldn't matter. Some think they literally shouldn't be able to vote in local elections. This encouragement of their disappearance from our city, from the body politic, is unbecoming of Gainesville. Now, my time here on this podium is temporary. I know everyone wants to enjoy this beautiful day. My time on this commission will be temporary, whether it's 4 or 8 years. Each commissioner's time on the commission is temporary. Each resident's time in Gainesville is temporary. Whether you came here just for 2 years to finish up your college degree, or at UF or Santa Fe, whether you moved here to retire and you don't know exactly how many years you have left in life, but it's decidedly temporary, or whether you were born here and you die here 100 years later, it's all temporary. Even the grand oaks that we sit below and that line many of our older streets, they're still temporary. Ask any homeowner who's had to remove a couple bad trees. Fashions come, fashions go. Innovations in culture and in technology have changed the way we live and will continue to do that. In the end, it's all temporary. But what I hope, or what shouldn't be temporary, and what I hope that we work to ensure isn't temporary, is what we do together as residents of the city, as voters, as community builders, as elected officials, and that is self-government as a city. That self-government can't be just for some of us. It can't just be for the well-employed, or the well-educated, or the well-propertied, or the well-pensioned, or the well-aged. I hope I'm aging well, and I hear this job ages us. If government is to be permanent, we can't have large portions, even the majority, be continuously forced to shrink themselves down until they disappear. Thank you, everyone, for coming out. I look forward to being, for the next 4 years, Gainesville City's Commissioner from District 3 in Southwest Gainesville. Thank you.
Now, if you would next give your attention, please, to Honorable Judge DeThomasis once more for the swearing in of Bryan Eastman for District 4.
Repeat after me. I, Bryan Eastman,
I, Bryan Eastman,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, honor, protect,
that I will support, honor, protect,
and defend the Constitution
and defend the Constitution
and government of the United States
and government of the United States
and of the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
that I am duly qualified
that I am duly qualified
to hold office
to hold office.
under the Constitution of the state,
Can you repeat that?
under the Constitution of the state,
Under the Constitution of the state
and under the Charter of the City of Gainesville,
and under the Charter of the City of Gainesville,
and that I will well and faithfully
and that I will well and faithfully
perform the duties
perform the duties
of City Commissioner
of City Commissioner
on which I am now about to enter.
on which I am now about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Welcome to City Commission District 4. We're right here in the middle of the beautiful district that I'm now about to represent. It's incredibly surreal standing here in front of the historic Thomas Center before all my colleagues, many of whom I've known for many years and have an incredible amount of respect for, like soon-to-be minted Mayor Harvey Ward, recent City Commissioner Casey Willits, Commissioner Cynthia Moore Chestnut, as well as folks I have a tremendous amount of respect for. I will be working with, like Ed Book, a longtime public servant, Desmond Duncan Walker. We have an incredible team here in Gainesville. I'm really looking forward to working with all of you. There are so many people to thank for me standing up here, not just the donors and the supporters, the people that helped me win, but those that have encouraged me over the years. I see a lot of you in the audience today, the folks that pushed me to think about things differently, who pushed me into leadership roles before I probably was ever ready to take on those leadership roles. It made me who I am. It forged me into where I'm standing here today, and I thank you. I can't thank all of you by name, but there are a few folks I do want to thank by name. I want to... So first is my team. We won this at the grassroots level. We knocked on over 5,000 doors. We spoke with every neighborhood, probably went through it twice just to make sure that we talked with every single person, and that was because of an incredible team of passionate young people. Claudia Tio Cartagena, Kiki Benedetti, Lucy Richardson, Leonello Rios-Sanchez, Emily Garcia, Julia Braver. I see Katie Burnett here in the audience as well. They won this race through passion and hard work, and I couldn't be more thankful to them. Thank you all so much. Of course, I have to thank my wife, Nina Bhattacharya. She is my rock and my better half. When I first brought up this idea of running to her, I fully expected her to dismiss it as crazy and laugh it off because it's kind of a crazy thing to do, running for office. But she was there to support. She knew this was the right decision. She cares about this city and believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. So thank you, Nina. I love you. And I want to thank the voters of District 4. Thank you for your confidence in me. Thank you for voting for me. Thank you for taking the time to talk with me on your doorsteps. I heard how much the city means to you, how much you connect with it, the hopes you have for its future. And I'm not going to forget the stories that you told me when I was out there, the hopes and the dreams and the needs you took to tell me, because that is the reason that we're all here at the end of the day, to make people's lives better, to understand the real needs of real people, and to use the tools of government to help. Like as we talk about homelessness, I'll remember the first door I ever knocked on, a neighbor of mine named Eddie. And Eddie's a neat guy, struggles with health problems, which made it hard for him to hold down a job, and eventually found himself living outside of a van in front of Grace Marketplace. And like thousands of others, Eddie was on the Housing Choice Voucher list, but for anyone who knows anything about Housing Choice Vouchers, that list is longer than we could ever find homes for. So he waited for years and years with nothing until he turned 62, age into Social Security, and the folks at Grace were able to find him a home that he could afford with his SSI check. But many don't have what Eddie has, and the clock is ticking on homes like his. According to the Schimberg Center at UF, Gainesville has a shortfall of 15,968 affordable units for renters. Our affordable housing is aging. About half of our government-subsidized units were built during the Great Society in the mid-'60s, and they'll be shutting down in the next couple of years. And when they do, those families have nowhere else to go. So as we talk about in the weeds policies as a commission of like inclusionary zoning, area median income, low-income housing tax credits, I'll be thinking about Eddie and the dozens of people that I spoke with in District 4 that were scared about when, not if, but when their rent rises again, where they're gonna go because they don't have anywhere else. And speaking of housing, I'll think about the young family that I met in Forest Ridge who had just bought their first home because they had their second kid and they wanted their own home to own and build equity in. But they had to spend $350,000 just to get that first home. And that really hurt for a young family like theirs, but they were lucky because since then, housing prices have just continued to rise along with interest rates. Homeownership is being locked out in our city for everyone except the richest of our residents. And it was decisions of this body in decades past that got us to the point where we are today. So now this commission is going to be having some really hard discussions in the coming months about how we develop residential homes in the future. And there's no easy answers to that. But I know that I'll be thinking about the families I spoke with, like that one in Forest Ridge, to make sure that they get the support they need so that we can have homeownership in this city. I remember the grandmothers and the mothers I spoke with that feared for the future of their young ones, that want to do what they can to stem the tide of global warming and water depletion. But they know, living in the state of Florida, that the state government ain't looking out for them. And they want to see their local government address these issues, to know that anyone is looking out for their kids. And we have the opportunity to do that, and we've committed to doing that by committing to becoming a net zero city by 2040 and becoming a zero waste city. We're committing to these environmental practices not because they are data-backed and common sense, but even more than that, because our children deserve for us to at least try to solve their problems. So think about all those people that I met, but I'll also think about the ones I didn't meet, the ones I couldn't meet. Folks like Sabrina Obando, who Casey Willits mentioned before. Sabrina was 22 years old, had just graduated from UF, and like all graduates, she was trying to figure out what her next steps were in life. She was walking to her job at Crane Ramen, crossing 8th Avenue from my neighborhood, a crossing that I make on a regular basis, when she was run over by a Ford F-150. Now, I would have loved to have met Sabrina. Her friends describe her as witty, kind, and intelligent. One in her obituary said to be her friend was to feel real joy. I also never got to meet Maggie Paxton, or Sophia Lambert, or Jarrett Young, or Pratik Sharma, or DJ Washington, or Denise Griffiths, all of whom died as pedestrians on our roads before they got to be my age of 33 years old. Young lives cut short because of decisions of this body that I am about to join. See, our roads were designed at a time when our commission forgot why we even have cities, for people. They were built in an era when city planners believed that cities should be a central business district to get to and from as quickly as possible. An era when our vibrant downtown was urban renewed, leveled to create service-level parking lots, and University Avenue was transformed from a vibrant, economically rich storefront road to a 4-lane highway. And those mistakes didn't just kill the vibrancy of our city for decades, they are actively killing people today. It is time to bring back a Gainesville designed for people, one where I don't fear letting my daughter walk or ride her bike to school in the morning. and where no parent has to get the same call that Sabrina Obondo's parents did. So over these next 4 years, there's going to be a lot of discussions about what we do and how we do it. What is our plan for Gainesville Regional Utilities? How are we going to move forward with the power district? What should we allow people to build in certain zoning districts? And all of these questions are important and hard. They're the kind of intense discussions that Gainesvillians love to have with each other, right? But let's also remember why we're doing all of this: to make people's lives better. Because that's the promise of living in a city, that we are stronger when we come together. To quote Jane Jacobs, a woman who shaped my views of the city, there is no logic that can be superimposed on the city. People make it, and it is to them, not buildings, that we must fit our plans. At its core, a city is a collection of people. The process to getting solutions is messy because people, frankly, are messy. We change, we adapt, we argue, we love, we hate, but at the core of how we get there is collaboration. It requires me to collaborate with my 6 colleagues on the commission, with our incredible staff, with business owners, with community advocates. It also requires us to collaborate with our past and our future, to build on the decisions of prior commissions and make them work for today, and to create plans that can be built on by future commissions. Because cities are always changing, because people are always changing. And it isn't always a smooth process, that's for sure. But I hope you'll join this new commission in writing the next chapter of Gainesville's story, because it's your story too, and I'm just incredibly honored that I get a part of writing it over these next 4 years. Thank you.
Congratulations, Commissioner Eastman. And now, if you will give your attention to the Honorable Denise R. Ferrero, and she joins me and my family right up here to swear me in, and I'll stop being pro tem at that point.
They're a lot older than the last time we did this. Yes. Yeah. All right, you ready?
Yes.
Put your hand on the Bible, please. Raise your right, oops. Left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand.
Got it.
Sorry. I state your name,
I, Harvey L. Ward Jr.,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, honor, protect,
that I will support, honor, protect,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution and government
the Constitution and government
of the United States
of the United States
and of the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
that I am duly qualified to hold office
that I am duly qualified to hold office
under the Constitution
under the Constitution
of the state
of the state
and under the charter
and under the charter
of the city of Gainesville,
of the city of Gainesville,
and that I will well
and that I will well
and faithfully perform
and faithfully perform
the duties of mayor
the duties of mayor
on which I am now about to enter.
upon which I am now about to enter.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Please go ahead.
Congratulations to all of you. Congratulations.
All right, thank you all for being here. Most of you know me. You know you can settle in because we got a little to talk about. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Madam Clerk, for putting this all together. Madam Manager, for putting this together. Father Fletcher, thank you. Congratulations to Commissioners Book, Willits, and Eastman. Proud to be working with you, as well as our sitting commissioners already. No one wins an election without a long list of people to thank, and I'm certainly no exception. None of this is possible without the support of my family. My sister Liz and my niece Ruby are down from Jacksonville today, and my dad, Harvey Sr., is here as well. Y'all don't be shy about applause lines, it's okay. My extended acquired family from coast to coast have been a constant source of support and encouragement. My daughters, better known to many of you as sprightly daughters 1, 2, and 3, Wesley, Leela, and Kennedy, have sacrificed a lot of daddy time this past year, and generally without complaint. They might even have enjoyed parts of the campaign. My lovely, brilliant wife, Jillian, has not only sacrificed time with me, she's held everything together at home while beginning a new phase of her own career over the past year, and has supported my political and public service habit for the past nearly 6 years, not only as my wife and my friend, but because I wanted to do this, and out of a true shared sense of values and a desire to see the best for our community.
Amen, John.
Don't be shy about shouting out either. It's all right. I want to thank my longtime friends and brother and sister from Jacksonville, Mike and Dee Sims, for coming down. They've watched me do this sort of thing for a very long time, and I appreciate them being here today. Ron Arbisi, thank you for being up from Tampa today. There are a whole lot of people I'm going to call out. I'm not going to get to everybody, and I apologize for that, but I really appreciate all of you for being here. I want to thank the best campaign manager in the business, my friend Katie Burnett, for winning this third campaign in a row with me. My friends and campaign staff, Nisha Anderson and Joy Pitts, as well as field director Alex Hood, and a terrific team of interns for their hard work, support, and dedication. I see Donna Waller here, and I want to thank her specifically for helping me understand how this job is supposed to work. I want to thank my friends, I want to thank my friends Terry Fleming and Warren Nielsen, who nearly a decade ago decided to make me believe it was not only an opportunity for me, but my actual responsibility to run for public office. My sincere thanks to the more than 400 individuals, nearly all right here in Gainesville, who donated to our campaign. You gave us the tools to get this done. And to every person who planted a sign in your yard, who shared a social media post or an email, or who shared an encouraging word with me along the way, every one of you, no matter how you engaged with our campaign, you are the reason, individually, that we won, and I thank you. Marjorie Kennan Rawlings wrote, "I do not understand how anyone can live without some small place of enchantment to turn to. Gainesville is my place of enchantment, and my challenge is to use the office of mayor to make sure this enchantment grows for all of us, including those who haven't discovered it yet. I have the honor and privilege to be the next link in a chain that extends back more than a century and a half. Through Major William Reuben Thomas, the namesake of this facility where we gather today, to groundbreakers like Neil Butler, Roberta Lyle, Cynthia Chestnut, to our 6 directly elected mayors, Paula Delaney, Tom Bussing, Begin Hanrahan, Craig Lowe, Ed Brady, and Lauren Poe, and finally, to me. Those folks and countless other leaders helped shape the city we see and experience today. Now, the city commission that served until a few minutes ago was likely the most experienced commission in Gainesville's history. The commission you see before you is perhaps the least experienced, at least in terms of time served on the dais. But this commission is among the most talent-rich and diverse political bodies you will encounter. Our strength lies in the diversity of our personal stories, of our backgrounds and upbringings, of our various paths to the dais, and the constituencies we represent. Each of us wants the very best for each of our neighbors. That does not mean we should expect that our journey together will be a smooth one. There are 7 of us with distinctly different outlooks, and sometimes it's going to look and feel exactly like that. But we are people of goodwill, and people of goodwill can and must disagree without being disagreeable. To paraphrase John Meacham, in our finest hours, the soul of our city manifests itself in an inclination to open our arms rather than clench our fists. The weight of history, my colleagues, now rests upon our shoulders. To the point and to the moment, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries reminds us that it's a solemn responsibility that we are all inheriting, and the best thing we can do as a result of the seriousness and solemnity of the moment is to lean in hard and do the best damn job we can for the people. I'm confident that we will develop this new commission together, one next right thing at a time. I'm also confident that we will be able to work with our colleagues across University Avenue at the Board of County Commissioners for the common good. That said, But wait, there's more. That said, you should not expect that there will be no friction between our commissions. We are different boards with different histories, different responsibilities, and significantly different structures, even though we serve many of the same neighbors. More than half the residents of Alachua County are also the 141,000 residents of the city of Gainesville. While I place a high value on working collegially with my friends across the street, you should expect that I will always advocate with great zeal and passion for the people of Gainesville, whether with the county commission or in Tallahassee or in Washington, D.C. Sure. To deliver services to our neighbors at the highest level, we must reinvigorate Gainesville's Friendship 7. We need not only join hands with county government, but with Alachua County Public Schools, with the University of Florida and UF Health, with Santa Fe College and the Chamber of Commerce and the business community. And to my friends in each of those institutions, I promise you that not a single one of us can succeed the way our neighbors expect and deserve unless we succeed together. By far the best advice I received when I was first elected to this commission in 2017, and Marion Ratson, it really was terrific advice, was to just pick one thing that I could focus on and make sure I was able to deliver that one thing. That was excellent advice, and I promptly disregarded and instead focused on a laundry list of things that all deserve doing. Elected officials have a shelf life, an expiration date. We're limited in the amount of time we can serve, and every day is a precious opportunity to make life better for one more neighbor in our city, to make Gainesville a more livable, more lovable community. If you're counting, and I am, there are 1,463 days left for me to make this community better during my term as mayor. This is why I feel a sense of urgency to move forward on the policy goals that I and many of us campaigned on. In an effort to be as transparent as possible, but to keep pressure to deliver on myself, I've been working with city staff on delivering a dashboard of sorts that we're calling Gains Stats. Some of these policy goals I'm talking about are more nebulous and difficult to track, but many, like reducing gun violence or reducing the number of our sisters and brothers who live or die on our streets, are quantifiable and trackable. We'll use it not only to make regular reports to you on numbers that matter, but to put those numbers in context with our own recent past and with cities that are similar in size and in purpose to our own. Now, something we can count is chronic homelessness. For some folks, this is a moral and ethical issue. Some perceive it as a logistical or a convenience issue. But for far too many of our neighbors, it is simply an issue of finding a safe place to sleep and a decent meal tonight and every night. Regardless of how we consider the problem, homelessness is not an ineffable, unknowable mystery. Some of the nation's leading experts live and work right here in our city. And they tell us that the local price tag to a solution to chronic homelessness is $5 million a year. Now, if we know the problem and we know what it will cost to solve it, we have to face the reality that if we choose not to act, or to act as if we don't know the answer, we are simply more comfortable living in a city where our neighbors sleep on the street or in the woods than we are in finding the resources to apply the solution. If we expect to reach functional zero chronic homelessness, every institution in our party or in our community must play its part. Similarly, if we want to see a city where no pedestrians or cyclists die on our streets, and I do want to see that, all our institutions must be committed to better traffic engineering, better user education, and better traffic law enforcement. If we wish to address gun violence in a state where municipalities are forbidden from addressing actual guns, we will have to work with not only other institutions, but other municipalities. The criminal organizations at the root of our local and regional increase in crime do not respect city limits, and that requires that we work beyond those limits as well. I want to pause a moment to dwell on those first three priorities that I mentioned. It's easy in 2023 to become blind to homelessness, to pedestrian and cyclist deaths, and to gun violence. They are horrific issues if we think on them for too long, so many of us, quite understandably, don't. James Baldwin wrote, "Neither love nor terror makes one blind. Indifference makes one blind." I promise you that while I am mayor, we will not be indifferent to homelessness, pedestrian deaths, or gun violence. This past fall, with the help of the Trust for Public Land and Pekin Hanrahan, our voters wisely extended the limits and uses of our Wild Spaces Public Places surtax. And that, combined with the innovative uses and maps of the GCRA that have already been approved, will enable us to make investments in East Gainesville, where the sun rises, such as Hawthorne Road Health Center and RTS Transfer Hub, the renovations of Citizens Field and the MLK Center, and Boulware Springs, as well as opportunities to attract banking east of Waldo Road, finally. Wild Spaces and the GCRA, together with a healthy dose of community leadership and engagement and wise use of existing assets, will help us achieve the best possible result for a Sweetwater Greenway and for downtown, and a bold, forward-thinking path for the Power District and the Depot South neighborhood. Our commission is in the midst of a once-in-several-generations partnership with the federal government to use American Rescue Plan and other funds to invest in affordable housing, and our community expects and needs us to wisely and creatively leverage those funds to create places for our neighbors to live quickly and efficiently. We have opportunities to maximize federal funds to help our neighbors most in need to make their homes more energy efficient and save them critical financial resources, and we may also be able to rely on federal funds to move ahead with utility-scale solar energy creation at our city's utilities. But we must be certain we do the next right things with and for our neighbors who might be affected by those inevitable and necessary solar fields. Now, there are many more priorities on the table, including leveraging all the many benefits of our arts community to take us to the next level as the cultural capital of Florida, and I intend that we will get there. I recognize that I've outlined a great deal of work here for our commission, for city staff, for other institutions, and for all our neighbors, and that there is much more work I have not mentioned. I know I'm asking for hard work, but we choose this hard work to accomplish these things, as President Kennedy said, not because they are easy, but because they are hard, because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. We have the tools, the partners, the ability, and the mandate from our neighbors to do these hard things. One of my favorite authors, Neil Gaiman, writes, "A city is a collection of lives and buildings, and it has identity and personality. Cities exist in location and in time. Cities accumulate their personalities as time goes by." My grandfather moved to this city from suburban Melrose about 100 years ago. The Gainesville he knew, the Gainesville my father grew up in, the Gainesville I grew up in, and even the Gainesville my children first remember is different than the one that lives and moves and, yes, grows around all of us right now. It is also in many ways the same Gainesville that it was a century ago. Gainesville's identity, her personality, is partly places like Boulware and Glen Springs, Sweetwater Branch and Hogtown Creek, buildings like the Thomas Center and the Hippodrome, sporting venues like Citizens Field and Florida Field. But Gainesville is mostly the ongoing story of our neighbors. How we balance the needs and desires of the folks who are already here with the needs and desires of the folks who come here to learn or to be healed, or because they just decided Gainesville was a place they felt welcome. And by the way, I'm glad that people want to be a part of our story in Gainesville, and I believe we should make room for folks who aren't from around here. That's part of what Gainesville is. What Gainesville is not is a tale of two cities. That's a rhetorical crutch and a lazy sociological shorthand. Gainesville is so much more than 2 cities. We are dozens of cities. We are old money and we are generational poverty. We are PhDs and we are functionally illiterate. We are symphony and ballet and we are tailgating. We are gardenia and we are featherwood. We are Pine Ridge and we are Gulfview. We are Beatty Towers and we are Oak Hammock. We are all of these things and so many more, but we are one city, one Gainesville, and we will find our way together, one next right thing at a time. So now, in the words of Howard Bishop Middle School's favorite son, it's time to move on. It's time to get going. What lies ahead, we have no way of knowing. But under our feet, literally for some of you, the grass is growing. It's time to move on. Time to get going. Thank you for listening to all of us this morning. Let's get going. Thank you all. We do have a little business to do before we take an opportunity to shake hands and get a snack. On our agenda, we have one item, and that is election of Mayor Commissioner Pro Tem. So do we have a motion to adopt that agenda? So moved. Is there a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. All right, we have an agenda of one item. Do I hear a motion to offer a Mayor Commissioner Pro Tem? We're going to need a Pro Tem. Somebody got to make a motion. And do you have a nomination?
I don't mean to sound self-gratifying. In the order of the way that things have happened upon the commission, the next Mayor Pro Tem should rightfully be Commissioner Desmond Duncan Walker.
I will second that.
Very good. We have a motion and a second to declare Commissioner Duncan Walker the Mayor Pro Tem going forward for the next year. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Congratulations, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you all for being here. I don't know if you remember, but we've all collectively given you a whole lot of work to do along with us. So stay on us and make sure that we all get the work done together. And we are adjourned.